Welcome to the Daily Edition this Tuesday afternoon.
Let's begin with a check of the 7 News headlines. The federal government has announced a deal with the country's 657 private hospitals in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. Let's go live now to 7 News political correspondent Tim Lester, who is live for us in Canberra this afternoon. Hi, Tim. Now, this will include access to medical staff and equipment.
Good afternoon, Ryan and Sally. Yes, in fact, 57,000 nurses and midwives work in the private hospital sector in this country, more than 100,000 staff, and private hospitals have about 1/3 of the intensive care units in Australia. Of course, ICUs, we know from overseas experience, are vital to dealing with this pandemic as it becomes more severe. Last Saturday, the Hospitals Association told us that it was in a perilous position, its hospitals, because of the government's closure of all but the most important elective surgeries. Its income had been lost and it needed government help. Today, the Health Minister, Greg Hunt, has announced a government guarantee to back the private hospitals.
The hospitals will be available and their staff will be available to participate fully.
Good afternoon. We are breaking into programming to take you straight to a coronavirus update from the Victorian Health Minister, Jenny Mikakos, and Chief Health Officer, Brett Sutton.
COVID-19. We have 32 confirmed cases believed to be due to community transmission. That's an increase of 6 from yesterday. We have 29 people in hospital. 4 patients are in intensive care and 291 people have recovered. 173 regional Victorians have been diagnosed with COVID-19 and we've had more than 45,000 tests have been conducted to date. Of note, in terms of diagnosed cases today, I did want to advise you that we have had 4 cases of preschool-aged children were notified yesterday. This is 3 cases of children aged under 1 year and a 1-year-old. We had a previous preschooler as well, so this is now a total of 5 young children, preschool-aged children in Victoria diagnosed with COVID-19. What I can tell you is that it's known that one of the cases acquired the infection overseas. Investigations are continuing into the other 3 cases. I should stress it's not believed that this is a cluster, so it doesn't appear that this is one childcare centre or one group of children all known to each other. That's not believed to be the case, but there is a thorough investigation, of course, underway in relation to how these children acquired COVID-19 and obviously all the contact tracing that would occur in any case is being undertaken. None of the children are in hospital. They're all in home isolation recovering with their families. And it's not believed that there are any underlying medical conditions known in these children. From what we do know, from cases around the world, it does appear that infections in young children are not as severe as older people, and I'm sure that Brett will be able to speak further around advice to parents around children and how they can keep their children safe. So I'm happy to take your questions. I just will add one further thing, if I may, before doing that, and that is to advise you that I welcome firstly Minister Hunt's announcement earlier today in relation to the work that both the Commonwealth and state governments have been doing to secure the private hospital sector. They are a very important part of our health system. As Minister Hunt has indicated, the Commonwealth has said to the private hospital sector that they are prepared to underwrite their financial viability. This is particularly important as they have been asked by the National Cabinet to cease doing elective surgery work, which is really their source of income, whilst everyone focuses on the COVID-19 response. As Minister Hunt did indicate in his earlier statements, Victoria has been leading the nation in working with our private hospital system. We're very close to concluding an agreement. As the Premier indicated yesterday, we have an in-principle agreement with our private hospital sector. Effectively, what that will mean is fully integrating their capacity, their ICU beds, their emergency department beds and their staff with our public hospital system. We have about 15,000 beds in our public hospitals. Our private hospitals have about 9,000 beds. So this is a significant boost to our hospital capacity. It secures the jobs, of course, of those critical healthcare workers working in private hospitals and will be an important component in our COVID-19 response. So as Minister Hunt did say, we have been leading the nation in terms of working through these issues. Just last night I was on a phone meeting with other state and territory counterparts together with Minister Hunt where we discussed these matters and it may well be the case that, in fact, the Victorian model serves as the national approach in how we deal with these issues going forward. I'll be able to give you further updates on this, hopefully in coming days, but we're very close to concluding those arrangements with our private hospitals. So I'm very happy now to take your questions. I'll ask Brett to respond on that. Of course, we are acting on, as a government, we have been acting on the advice of AHPPC, our medical experts, of which Brett is a member. We have always said that we will act on their advice. If their advice is to close childcare or to take any further steps, we won't hesitate to take those steps. But I'll ask Brett to speak specifically around childcare.
Thanks, Minister. Yeah, it's certainly been the case that AHPPC hasn't advised the closure of childcare centres. In part, that's around the data that is reassuring that overwhelmingly for children, especially those 9 years and younger, the illness of COVID-19 is very, very mild and deaths are virtually unheard of. So that should be a reassurance to any parent of young children. Clusters haven't been reported in Australia. We're still looking into this, but it doesn't appear to be a cluster. And the risk to those children is extremely low. I think we have to remain alert to the possibility of transmission from kids to adults, including those who care for those children. But again, that hasn't been reported in Australia, and there's very scant evidence of it being a significant factor globally. But AHPPC will take the information from Victoria into account as they review on a regular basis this setting, as with others.
We've seen a big increase in new cases today. Is that a reflection of the fact that testing...
That's the Chief Health Officer, Brett Sutton, there, giving us the latest. And some of the key points, the number of coronavirus cases now stands at 917 here in Victoria. That's an increase from yesterday of 96. One of the key elements to come out of that press conference was that we now have 4 more cases of preschool-aged children. That's children 1 or younger. They do not believe they are part of a cluster, and most importantly, childcare centres will stay open for now. Stay with 7 for further updates and, of course, our major bulletins at 4 and 6.
As part of their books, it's not just people who are still employed. This goes back to the 1st of March. So if you were employed by a company on the 1st of March and have since been stood down or even been made redundant, do call your employer and see what they're doing for you.
So have any of the big companies said that they will use this JobKeeper program?
Well, Ryan, the bar's a little bit higher for really big companies. If you're bringing in turnover of $1 billion a year, you need to prove that your activities dropped by 50% over the period. Nonetheless, I spoke to Virgin, Myer, Flight Centre, Star Entertainment, and lots of companies in the last couple of hours who have stood down employees, many thousands of employees in recent weeks. And they've all said that they're registering, they're checking their eligibility, and if they can be a part of it, they definitely want to be a part of it.
Gemma, retail is one sector that's been hit really badly at the moment. Which other stores have announced some temporary closures?
Yeah, Sally, the news just keeps on coming in. Just within the last hour, we heard that Hanes brands will also be closing its stores as of this evening until further notice. They have around 450 stores, and this includes Bonds, Bras and Things, Sheridan, Champion. This will affect around 3,000 of their staff who are being stood down. They have also said that they will, of course, be looking into the JobKeeper program.
So a lot of those businesses then, will the JobKeeper program help these retail workers in that particular sector?
Well, it's certainly hope. So it really seems that if a company is eligible, there's not really any reason not to try and use it, because it is just money from the government to try and keep employees on board.
Yeah, that's right. Spending habits are changing rapidly. How are stores adjusting to the declining numbers of shoppers?
Oh, well, Sal, you're seeing businesses actually be really innovative. You're seeing restaurants trying to do takeaway food. So I know that some restaurants near us are just doing bakery items at the moment, or different types of drinks that people can take away. People are still buying things. If you look at some data which came out from Commonwealth Bank this morning looking at card spend, we see that shopping for food and groceries is up by around 40%. Meanwhile, of course, restaurant and cafe spend is down by 30%. So businesses that are able to offer takeaway items can actually still hopefully make some money by being a bit more nimble in this period. We're also seeing many companies for years have been moving more towards an omni-channel strategy where they have physical stores as well as online stores. It's a great chance for them to really push their online strategy. Myer, for example, is offering, for the time being, you can get a minimum spend of $49 to get free home delivery.
All right, well, everyone's trying to do their best. All right, Gemma, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Now, soon for you, how our ambulance crews are coping with the coronavirus crisis. One paramedic reveals what life is currently like on the front line.
I want to ask you all a simple question today. Do you have enough cash in the bank for your family to get by if something happened to you? If not, you're probably like the rest of us, and that's why we have Marnie from Finder in the studio with us today. Good to see you, Marnie.
Yeah, great to see you too, Jamie. And yes, if you rely on an income to pay the bills, or if you're planning to start a family or already have one, then it's probably time you start thinking about protecting yourself and your family with some form of life insurance.
Okay, but where can we learn more about the different types of life insurance available?
Yeah, well, with Finder, you can find out more about different types of life insurance and get free comparisons of the features, benefits and details of each policy.
And I can see how having those differences laid out in front of you would make the process of finding the right product much easier.
Yeah, absolutely, Jamie. By typing finder.com.au, you'll find a variety of life insurance products designed to help your family if something ever were to happen. For example, this could be maintaining your family's day-to-day financial security with something like income protection insurance. So if you get hurt or fall sick and can't work, your income protection insurance would pay you a monthly benefit. So you'd still have cash coming in to pay the bills and feed the family. Plus, premiums could be tax deductible too.
Yeah, great. I can see why having income protection insurance is a smart idea. What if something more serious happened and you passed away?
Yeah, well, Jamie, this is one of the main reasons someone would take out life insurance. Now, with life cover in place, your family would receive a lump sum payment, ensuring that your family would have the cash they need to help get by in the longer term.
And that would be such a relief at a really tough time. Yeah. Okay, so we've decided to get life insurance. How would we start comparing?
Well, Jamie, to find a better deal for you, type in finder.com.au. Finder is Australia's most visited comparison site, with over 2.5 million people using Finder each month to compare loads of different things, from credit cards and car loans to energy and life insurance.
Nice. Okay, let's put this to the test. I've typed in finder.com.au. What now?
All right, tap life insurance.
Yep.
Now, straight away, you'll see a side-by-side comparison of Australian brands. So tell us what you've found, Jamie.
See, this is great. By just looking at it, I can see details of loads of different policies, like how much cover you can apply for and any special benefits you'd get with that particular policy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say I found a policy I like, Marnie.
All right.
Now what?
Simply click Get a Quote. You'll then be directed to the brand's website, where you can enter your specific details and they can prepare a customised quote for you.
Excellent. I can't believe how much other important information you get on Finder.
I know. Well, our team of experts at Finder are committed to helping Aussies by providing a free service that you can use to compare over 1,800 brands across more than 100 different product categories, helping you to make more informed decisions. We're an Australian company that's independently owned. We've been helping Aussies compare products and services for 14 years now. Wow. Yeah, so if you're thinking about protecting the financial security of your family with life insurance, type in finder.com.au.
Thanks, Marnie. So grab your phone and type in finder.com.au now.
Now, in just a moment, working on the front line of the global health crisis, how our ambulance crews are preparing and coping with the coronavirus pandemic.
That's next on the Daily Edition.
With news that coronavirus cases have climbed to over 4,000 across Australia, there's no denying our health services will be put under stress during these coming months.
Working round the clock, it's a trying time for paramedics. So how are our frontline responders preparing for the rising numbers of serious COVID-19 cases? Chief Superintendent at New South Wales Ambulance, Alan Morrison, joins us live. Alan, lovely to have you with us. Have you seen an increase of calls in recent weeks?
So over the last couple of weeks, we have seen an increase in our workload. We had a particular spike a couple of Fridays ago that exceeded our New Year's Eve work. What we're noticing at the moment is that we're getting an increase in COVID-related calls. However, with the social isolation measures coming into place and less movement of people, we are seeing some level of decrease in the standard types of calls we see because people just aren't out and about as much.
OK, so what are the public's main concerns? You mentioned coronavirus-related calls. What are their concerns?
So the public's main concerns revolve around maintaining their own health and well-being. So it's about listening to the messaging that we're getting from government, that idea of maintaining our social isolation, our social distancing, only going out when necessary and paying attention to the hand washing activity, because that's the kind of things that stops the virus being transmitted throughout the community.
So Alan, how have you guys at New South Wales Ambulance been preparing for the impact of coronavirus?
Sorry, Sally, can you just repeat that? A bit of background noise at my end.
That's okay. I wanted to know how you guys have been preparing for the impact of coronavirus.
So in terms of the impact of coronavirus, we've been doing a lot of work to ensure that we're prepared to continue responding to the community's needs. We're making sure we've got the people we need, that we've got the resources we need to respond, and making sure that our paramedics and the people who are attending are prepared and safe and looking after themselves as well as our patients.
There's a lot of stress out there at the moment. How are paramedics feeling on the front line?
So, like everybody, paramedics can feel anxious about their own well-being. They can feel anxious about their families' well-being. So they're taking all the steps they've been trained to take to make sure that they don't pick up any respiratory infection themselves. We've had our standards for protecting ourselves against respiratory infection in place for a long time. Obviously, we're paying particular attention to that now. So we're ensuring that we're using our protective equipment, our protective eyewear, our protective gowns, and I think that's one of the things that sometimes the public can feel concerned as we come to the door, and if it fits certain criteria, you may find us in some form of what's called PPE. Don't be concerned by that. We're just making sure our staff stay safe and certainly patients stay safe as well.
Alan, can you clarify when is the most important time for us to call an ambulance so that you're not getting calls that you don't need to get?
Sorry, Sally, I could not hear that at all.
When is the most important time for us to call an ambulance so that you're not getting unnecessary calls?
Yes, thanks, Sally. Yeah, it's important at the moment to maintain what we'd normally do when calling the ambulance. The ambulance is for life-threatening emergencies. So we would ask the public to stick to that message, that you use us and call us when you have a life-threatening emergency. In terms of needing other health support and resources, because that's a real thing at the moment, if you go to the New South Wales Health website, they will have a number of contacts for different types of concerns that you may have with your health. So we're encouraging everybody to think about whether they need an ambulance to attend or whether they can go to that website and call that contact to get the help they need.
All right, fantastic advice, Alan. Thank you, and thank you to you guys for all that you do.
Thanks very much, Sally.
Thanks.
Thank you. Now ahead, an update on Prince Charles' condition after his coronavirus diagnosis.
Plus, Prince William's bold plan to help in the fight against COVID-19. We'll have those details when we return with more of the Daily Edition after this. Well, the day has finally come for Prince Harry and Meghan to step aside from their royal duties.
That's right. Today marks the formal end of Megxit, and the Sussexes have said farewell. Where else but on Instagram? And for more, we're joined by New Idea royal commentator Angela Mollard. Hi, Ange. Good to see you. So what's the post said?
Well, they thanked their community of followers, 11.3 million followers on Instagram. They said that we're living through fragile times, and they urged their community of followers to pull together. They thanked them for the inspiration that they had been and the shared commitment that their followers had to the good in the world. And then they went on to say, "You've been great," which seems to me like a real Americanism, not very royal at all. But most interestingly, they signed it off just Meghan and Harry. No HRH, no Duke and Duchess. They're just back to Harry and Meghan.
Wow. OK, well, Ange, what about the rest of the royal family with the UK in lockdown? We've seen the Duchess of Cambridge out without her engagement ring.
That's right. Look, this was last week, and then we've seen another photo of her at her desk speaking to a mental health charity. So she and William visited the NHS ambulance service. Then, of course, there's this picture of her at home. Neither of those occasions was she wearing her engagement ring or her white gold eternity ring. The reason being that when you wash, obviously these are obstacles to washing your hands, and rings are harbourers of bacteria. So they're obviously doing the right thing and she's taking her rings off.
OK. Meanwhile, Wills wants to take to the skies in a bid to help during the COVID-19 pandemic.
You can imagine, can't you? Here he is. He's, Prince, heir to the throne. And what he really wants to do is go back to his old job. So for 2 years, until 2017, he did work in the air ambulance service. He's been speaking to the air ambulance service, and he desperately wants to go back and really make a difference. I mean, it's a bit like when his former royals were during the war. They all wanted to be involved in the Second World War, to be seen to be doing something. You can imagine sitting in a big palace. He must feel that he doesn't. He really can't make a difference. He wants to use the skills he has.
Crown Prince Frederick and Crown Princess Mary have addressed Denmark. This is on national television, and the video featured the entire family.
Yeah, this is really gorgeous. So Frederick and Mary speak, and then they invite their children who are playing on the trampoline and then playing football to come over, and they ask each child one by one what they how they're coping with homeschooling. And the eldest one, he says, it's all fine, but I'm missing my sport. And the second eldest, she says, Isabella there, she says, I actually like homeschooling. And then little Vincent there on the left, he says, no, it's really boring. And they all burst out laughing. But incidentally, I mean, honestly, if you were watching them, and you were living in a 2-bedroom flat with no balcony, you'd be a little bit jealous. They've got plenty of room there in the palace.
I'll sound like the boring uncle at the barbecue, but haven't they all grown up?
That's what I was just thinking. When did that happen?
Yeah.
All right, Ange.
Thanks, Ange.
Thanks.
Back after this.
Have you ever thought about how the decisions that you make now could affect your family later on? Take your funeral costs, for example. If you don't plan for them now, there's a chance that your family would struggle to pay for your funeral costs. Well, today I'm joined by Lee, who is here to talk about the importance of funeral insurance. Good to see you, Lee.
Great to see you too again, Jamie. And I think a lot about how the plans I make can affect the ones I love most in the future.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not alone. Take a look at this.
How's Michelle holding up?
She's okay. At least she didn't have to worry about the funeral costs, though. Turns out her mum had funeral insurance, which covered everything.
That's why I have it.
Really?
I just wanted a policy you could count on, so I did one simple thing and got real funeral insurance.
You can see why having funeral insurance is so important.
Yeah, well, think about it. There's the funeral director's fees, transportation, burial plot or cremation costs, flowers, the list goes on.
Yeah.
So a funeral here in Australia can easily cost anywhere from $4,000 to $15,000, and these costs would usually need to be paid quickly.
Well, that is a lot of money to come up with if you don't have much savings.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So why do you think so many people trust real insurance?
Well, Real Insurance are a multi-award-winning insurer with a customer service team located right here in Australia.
Yeah, that's great. So let's say you want to take out cover. What do you do?
Just call and you're guaranteed cover regardless of your health or lifestyle. And you can choose the cover amount from $3,000 up to $15,000. And if your death is accidental, your benefit triples up to $45,000.
Wow, that's nice to know.
And once you've taken out cover, you'll receive a welcome pack which contains all your policy details, like what you're covered for and when your premiums are due.
Okay, so can we talk about the cost of the cover?
Yeah, sure. Here's an example. A 50-year-old could get $5,000 cover for just $5.88 a week. And your premiums reduce by 5% every 5 years you hold your policy. Plus, you'll even get back 10% of the premiums you've paid after the first 12 months with the real reward.
Oh, you got to love that. OK, question, Lee. Here we go. Is it possible to pay more in premiums than you ever get back?
Not with Real Funeral Insurance Flexi Plus. You see, it comes with a real payback guarantee, which means when your family makes a claim, they will receive either all the premiums you've paid or your full cover amount, whichever is more.
Great.
And if your financial situation changes as you get older, you can select an early cash payout of 150% of your benefit amount once you turn 85.
Yeah, I like that you have the flexibility to choose what's best for you.
Yeah, and here's something else. With Real Funeral Insurance, you can trust that your family will receive a quick cash payment of your benefit, usually within 1 business day of the claim being made, and all the paperwork is supplied.
And quick access to cash is what funeral insurance is all about, right?
Exactly, Jamie.
Yeah.
You know, getting real funeral insurance is one simple thing you can do now to help make a difficult time as stress-free as possible. It's cover your family can count on from an insurer you can trust. For more details, call 1300 729 280 or search Real Funeral Insurance today.
Thanks, Lee.
Aussie model Lara Worthington has continued to receive backlash online after complaining about the hotel that her mum is quarantined in. For more, we're joined by entertainment editor Peter Ford. Pete, tell us more about this.
Oh, stop it. Just stop it. This started yesterday, of course, when we had Lara Bingle and her mum Sharon both using their social media to complain about the accommodation that she'd been given at a hotel in Newtown. Now, she was put into this sort of enforced isolation, supervised isolation, and she showed pictures from the interior of the hotel, which is done in this sort of industrial chic type look. And it's the Urban Hotel in Newtown. It's a very well-respected, well-reviewed boutique hotel in Newtown. Anyway, the blowback to this was all negative. People just saying, don't do this at the moment. Read the room. People don't want to know. But undeterred by this, Sharon, Lara's mum, has again used her social media today to hit back at those people who have been criticising her and to also criticise people like me in the media. Because I thought part of the reason why the room did look so drab in the picture that she showed was that the curtains were closed. Of course it looked drab and dark and boring. So what you're seeing here, these are the offerings that Sharon has done from her hotel room. Look, I don't think it'd be pleasant to be locked in a hotel room for 2 weeks. It doesn't matter if it's the Ibis Hotel or the Urban Hotel or the Four Seasons Hotel. It wouldn't be pleasant. It's 4 walls. But that's the way it is, Sharon. Unfortunately, suck it up, princess, because lots of people are having to do it and people have got much bigger problems than you.
Yeah, we need to be supporting businesses, not trashing them in the current environment for sure. Yeah. Now, Pete, Matthew McConaughey is telling people to stay at home.
He is. He's got a very soothing, calm style about him, and he tells people to just stay chilled and stay home. Have a look at this.
We are at war with a virus, and healthcare troops and first responders are on the front line fighting it every day. Let's join the fight by staying home. Staying home is not a retreat. It's the most brave and aggressive weapon we have against this enemy. Because when we do stay at home, we help prevent overwhelming our hospitals while buying time for our scientists to find the vaccine.
So playing that just for you, Lara and Sharon.
Thank you, Pete.
Thanks, Pete. Now, your full weather forecast is coming up. Stick around. We're back after this. Let's now get a check of the weather forecast. It's a good afternoon to Tony Auden in our Weather Centre. How's it looking, Tony?
Oh, good afternoon, Ryan. It's all pretty quiet for the main population centres today. The exception, a few storms taking off over southeastern Queensland. Here they are on the radar. Only very isolated activity currently developing north of Brisbane and up towards the Sunshine Coast. Those storms are feeding off a bit of heat today. At the moment, it's 30 degrees in Brisbane, a little bit muggy as well. In Sydney, 27 degrees with some patchy cloud around. Make that 24 in Adelaide under mostly sunny skies, and a bit cooler down south, 20 degrees in Melbourne and Hobart. Onto the satellite, the trough triggering those few storms storms in Queensland is the same system that brought wet weather to New South Wales yesterday. Cloud and storms are also building through central parts of Australia. Now tomorrow, that cloud band creeps east. It'll gather a little bit of oomph near the east coast on Thursday, but in the meantime, just a few showers pushing onto the east coast. That'll be in the form of some morning showers in Brisbane, a cooler top of 28 degrees tomorrow. Just an outside chance of a sprinkle in Sydney, a top of 25 degrees, while Canberra could see an afternoon shower, maybe even a rumble there too. Now further south, a mostly sunny 23 degrees in Melbourne, some pleasant autumn weather on the way. Hobart a bit cooler, 21 degrees with some patchy cloud, and Adelaide is looking pretty cloudy, 15 overnight up to a top of 25 degrees. Over in the west, some patchy cloud as well. Perth tracking for 27 degrees. That's the latest weather, guys. More details coming up at 4 and 6.
Terrific, Tony. Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 2. Have a wonderful and safe afternoon. We'll see you then.
See ya.